Good morning and welcome into SimWorld today, January 7th version of our show. I am Marsh, joined again by Rick Blaze. Good morning, Rick. How are you?
Marsh, Mello, what's good? Oh, good news, Marsh. I'm wearing pants today.
Well, thank you so much for one doing that and two informing us. That's a big step for you, I know. So, congratulations and welcome to adulthood for at least the next 25 minutes. Look, we got a
Thank
lot
you.
to get to. Somebody who's not been in adulthood is one Jimmy Butler, who got himself suspended from the Miami Heat for his conduct detrimental to the team as he has tried to seek his way outside of Miami. Certainly, Pat Riley and the Heat aren't too fond of the way he's carried himself, so he's going to be stepped aside. But I'm curious, Rick, is he getting traded? It seems like he definitely is. And where do you think he's going to?
Yes, he is getting traded. Jimmy Butler's 35, so I know what team he's not going to, and that's my Houston Rockets. We don't need a 35-year-old on the team. I think we're probably maybe a year away from competing for the championship. I think we can win our ceiling this year. This season is like Western Conference. But to championship about a year or two. That makes Jimmy Butler 35, 36, 37. No, thank you. I do not want to see him going to the Western Conference, although Golden State's been thrown in the mix. Dallas Mavericks been thrown in the mix. However, might I interest you in a three-team trade, Marsh, that I think would be great for all parties?
You got my ears. What's up?
This three-team trade includes the Miami Heat, my Houston Rockets, and the Phoenix Suns. Bradley Beal just
Okay.
recently got put to the bench. So let's say Bradley Beal goes to Houston, Phoenix get Jimmy Butler, and Miami gets young players and assets. I think that is a great deal. I would sign up for that. Take me there. I like that option the best.
So you want a guy that just got relegated to the bench who has a no trade clause? That's who you want on your roster,
Yeah,
not Jimmy Butler?
he wants to be out, and I'm sure he wants to be out. And Houston can use a bona fide 23 to 25 point per game score every single night. That's what our team is missing. Consistent offense, and Bradley Beal is that.
I'm getting real tired of the. So with the new
Or Devin Booker, either one.
CBA, well, yeah, you're not getting Devin Booker. I can tell you that right now. We could stop that fantasy train. You can put your pants back on for that one. I'm getting real tired of the players that are constantly being tossed around for this, and the teams, because it's clickbait, man. Like, okay, the Warriors aren't going to trade for Jimmy Butler, because in order to do that, you'd have to trade away one of Andrew Wiggins and Draymond Green. It's not going to happen. Okay, it's not going to happen. Bradley Beal is. I don't. If I'm choosing between Jimmy Butler and Bradley Beal, I'd rather have Jimmy Butler because I got 1 year left to pay him $52 million, and then I'm done. I don't have to pay him again anymore because I'm not going to be giving up any assets to bring Jimmy Butler in. And I think that's the real problem here. Is the new CBA has made it extremely challenging to make any type of deal with these big money teams, big money players. That's why you hear Zach LaVine, it's why you hear Bradley Beal, it's why you hear the normal cast of characters, because you can't go out there and put together a bunch of huge dollar contracts and bring guys in because either teams are on the second apron so they can't aggregate, which is why if you're the Phoenix Suns you have to include Bradley Beal in it. But we're also just talking about moving chess pieces on the chessboard because the Phoenix Suns with Jimmy Butler aren't really all that different. You just traded Bradley Beal and his offensive ineptitude with Jimmy Butler and his personality ineptitude. And if you're Houston, they're the only real winners of this because they get something a bit of an upgrade. But is Bradley Beal really an upgrade over Fred VanVleet? So to
Yes.
me, I don't think it's that. I don't think it's large enough of an upgrade for you guys to take on because that's the other thing. You're taking on more money down the line with Bradley Beal. It's a longer term contract for more money than what Jimmy Butler's making. So it's going to completely restrain the options that the Houston Rockets have. And if you're giving away young pieces to bring in something, I want something more extensive than Bradley Beal. So my point to all this is I don't know where Jimmy Butler goes because you're going to have to need a team that I said the San Antonio Spurs, which I still think is a decent one. Only because you have the organizational atmosphere that is the San Antonio Spurs. You have a young star who is in a position who's already all SWBA caliber, Rick. And you could give up just some contracts to clear up the books, and then really, I would see Jimmy Butler as a 1 to 2 year rental. Hey, we're going to try to be competitive right now. We're not going to use up any of our assets to get Jimmy Butler, but we're going to be competitive right now in a Western Conference that, besides Oklahoma City, really looks wide open. And let's take a shot at it. Let's play meaningful basketball, and let's get our young players, most notably Victor Wembanyama, some good postseason experience. That's what I want to do.
I'm not mad at that. I'm just making sure the Rockets is not on that train for Butler because we shouldn't be.
Which, to me, I'm shocked that you'd rather have Jimmy Butler or you'd rather have Bradley Beal than Jimmy Butler. But regardless, I don't know that we're going to see a conclusion to this fiasco. And here's a quick note, and we do have to move, but why don't some of these stars that are so desperate to be like traded take a buyout, man? If you really want to play somewhere else, take a damn buyout. And I know the players union would never allow this, but if you're so serious about leaving your current situation, which is so terrible, it's so, God forbid, you're paid $48 million. I mean, I don't normally do the money thing, but take a buyout and go somewhere else then if it's that gosh darn important to you. And it feels as if Jimmy Butler's trending. He's not trending towards a buyout, but trending towards a departure. All right. Team that's trending upward. How about the Virginia Cavaliers, who have won 3 in a row? Their last one came last night over Michigan, 58-56, as they try to sneak their way up the ACC standings. They are now 6-7 after this win streak. So, Rick, are they trending up? How far up are they trending?
I mean, it's with Virginia's been what's been taking so long. They have the talent, starting with Johnny Ballgame, who you watching here on the highlights, who's averaging about 19 points a game and 8 rebounds a game, 19-8. You have Cole Webb, a highly talented freshman who's coming on highlight. Man, my highlight reels are right on time for me right now. So they have the talent. They have Sion Matthews and a few other guys. You've been waiting for Virginia to kind of show what they're showing in these last 3 games. So I think they're trending upward. Now, how high their ceiling is, I think is definitely capped. But I think this the Virginia team everyone has been expecting to see, and hopefully they can stay consistent so they can remain this type of team for the remainder of the season.
And I'm sorry, that was their 4th straight win over UNLV yesterday. Here's who they've beaten, right? In those last 4 games. You've beaten Wichita State, not necessarily a world beater. You've beaten Houston, who also lost last night. You beat Michigan, and now you beat UNLV. When you've played big teams, if you look at Virginia's schedule, Illinois, that would be a loss. Gonzaga, that would be a loss. Earlier in the season, they played against SMU, South Carolina, UCLA, all losses. This is a team that when they've played good teams, they haven't really lived up to the billing. They have 2 top 25 wins right now. One is USC, who just barely got in, and one is Kansas, who's been up and down all season long. Both of those came at home. So they haven't, in my opinion, really shown the ability to play competitive winning basketball against competitive winning basketball teams. Your last 4 wins have been good ones, but they haven't really been ones that, in my opinion, move the needle a whole bunch because it's against guys that are kind of in your same tax bracket, right? It's those mid-level teams. So I think it's positive. If you're going to rise above that group, you have to start beating them. But as we're going to get to in a second, the ACC's got a ton of talent, man, and I think we're going to see just how good they are when they have to play Duke twice, when they have to play Georgia Tech twice, when they have to play North Carolina and Virginia Tech 2 times. Not playing against UNLV, who's been, in the Mountain West, they are 7-6, so there you go, another middling team that you're going up against. You're going up against a Houston who's been one of the most disappointing teams of the last handful of seasons. That, to me, does not exude a ton of confidence. It's great that they're beating the good teams. I will say I would wait to say they're turning it around until they start beating the teams that are stacked up or what you would assume to be better than them, Rick.
Wait. Why this can't be considered a turnaround? Have they
I'm not
won
saying
4
it's.
games?
I'm not saying it's
Have they
not
won
a
4 games
turnaround.
in a row any other time this season?
No, they haven't. And again, I'm not saying
Well,
it's
damn,
not a
that's a turnaround.
turnaround.
You're
It's
not.
a positive trend, but I'm not going to sit here and say, all right, Virginia, They're back in the mix. Look out for them because we've seen a lot of these teams have 2 to 3 game winning streaks that then fizzle out because they're just playing against bad opponents. My point is you're playing against teams that you should beat. And Virginia's doing that. But I'm going to hold they are turning things around completely until we actually see them beating a team that's above them as opposed to beating a team that's at or slightly below their current level. That's what I'm saying.
But you throw parades for Virginia Tech. We're gonna get to them in a minute. Go ahead.
Well, no, that's perfect. Let's go straight to them. Where are they fallen in the ACC? Because they're currently number 7. They've won 11 games. They've won 10 in a row, couple more than 4. Rick. So where do you see Virginia Tech going?
You know what? I would really want to hear your take on this first before I give mine. I'm just curious to know where the pom poms are landing for you with Virginia Tech, Marsh.
They're not exceptionally high, but they're higher. Okay, they're in this stretch. They have one top 25 win. It was against Butler by 10 points back in December 19th. Against Kansas and Alabama, their 2 losses. Those are the 2 top 25 teams they've played otherwise. They have done for the longer stretch of time what Virginia has done for the last 2 weeks in beating teams that they should be beating. The difference is that they are consistently beating the teams that they're supposed to be beating. Meanwhile, Virginia, if you're going to be a good basketball team, you don't lose to Illinois. But if you are going to be a good basketball team like you are Virginia Tech, you're going to go out and you're going to beat Wisconsin. So the difference between the two is that Virginia's doing it for longer. They've got a 10-game winning streak. Virginia Tech is doing it for longer. They've got a 10-game winning streak. And Virginia has not consistently throughout the season, because they still have 7 losses on the season 6. They still aren't beating the teams that they should have been beating until the last 2 weeks, until technically December 23rd, when they beat Wichita State. That's when they started beating the teams that they should have been beating. That's when they started beating the teams that Virginia Tech has been beating all season long. That's the difference between these 2 teams.
Okay, so I don't want to compare those 2 teams because they're not on the same level exactly, but I will say, based on that analogy, Virginia is one of the best.
Rick, you literally started this segment off by saying, I want to know how you feel about Virginia Tech then.
Yeah, but I don't want to compare Virginia and Virginia Tech. They're not the same 2 types of teams.
Well, then why did you start off by saying, if this is how you feel about Virginia, how do you feel about Virginia Tech, and giving me claims of having pom-poms? Because that is exactly what that sentence does, is saying, all right, let's compare these 2 teams. That's how you let it up.
I want to compare the conference, which happens to have
the same
Virginia.
Conference.
What happened to have Virginia in the conference? We make it all-inclusive, Marsh. All-inclusive. Now, Virginia Tech, congratulations. They've had a fantastic season thus far. But conference play is coming into play, and they're the 4th, maybe 5th best team in their conference, in my opinion.
They're not the 5th. They're not the 5th.
In whose opinion did I say, Marsh?
They've won 10 straight games, Rick. They've won 10 straight games. How are they the 5th best team in that conference?
Let me tee this up for you really quick.
Please.
Virginia Tech has been playing college basketball for 117 seasons. Listen to me. 117 seasons. Out of those 117 seasons, can you tell me, you know how many conference championships they won in 117 seasons, Marsh?
Is the guy from 117 years ago suiting up right now?
The answer is 2.
Well, why do we do this? Why do we give a damn about what a school
one in
or a team have done?
1967 and the last one in 2019, which tells me they win a conference championship every 40 years.
Okay, but Rick, you're not answering.
Why
do we do this?
The next championship is going to be in 2066.
Why do we do this?
Based on the trajectory that Virginia Tech has been doing for the last 117 years.
You're not answering my question.
First round. You know how many times they got out of the first round in 117 seasons? 6.
Well, they're going to get out again this season, but you're not answering my question.
What's the question, Marsh?
Why do we give a damn what a school has done in the past to be indicative of what they're going to do in the future? The guy that suited up 2 seasons ago is not showing up.
What happens?
No,
data predicts what happens.
Baloney. Because, well, then, okay.
Wait. If
hold on, Rick. You've been yelling, so let me yell back.
I do like fried bologna. Is it fried bologna?
Explain this, Rick. If If history should predict the future, why do the New England Patriots suck? They had the greatest run of all time. If history is supposed to predict the future, why are the Kansas City Chiefs good? Because for their entire existence, they have sucked. If history is going to predict the future, why do the Los Angeles Lakers middle in the middle class when they have the most SWBA championships of all time? Because they've traditionally been one of the best programs in the league, and now they're terrible. If history is going to predict the future, why do things change? Because things change. People get better.
Ebbs and flows,
People
my
get
brother.
worse.
Ebbs and flows.
So the ebb and flow would indicate that right now Virginia Tech is having one of the best seasons in their 117-year college basketball history. That's what it tells us. It is no indication that
they're not
because
going to
they've
make
won
it the first round, or they're not going to win a conference championship till 2066 too.
And they very well may not, because they've got Duke, who has the best player in college basketball, and Georgia Tech, who has one of the best players in college basketball. The ACC is the best conference right now. Sure, in North Carolina, they have 4 top 10 teams, but to sit here and just outright dismiss Virginia Tech, despite the fact that they've won 10 straight games, you don't stumble into 10 straight wins. Some teams don't stumble into 10 wins in a damn season. Virginia was trajecting towards that. But you don't stumble your way into 10 straight wins in the regular season.
I heard that.
We can't be out here dismissing Virginia Tech just because
I'm not dismissing Virginia Tech. I just don't have the championship banner already created like a lot of you guys do.
No one has created any banner for this basketball team. It's been, hey, they've been a really nice story. They've won 10 straight games. They're in the top 10. It's a program that's never been there. Let's move on to the wrap-up, because we had a handful of games that we want to make sure people know about. Let's start it off with Villanova and Houston. Number 14th ranked Villanova. They go at home to take on the Cougars. 80-70, they get the win. Aaron Lovejoy with 20 points, 9 boards. Justin Bell with 19 and 7, and a double-double for Mugen Williams, 12 and 12 in the win for the Wildcats. Head to Virginia Tech, who Rick doesn't like to like. They beat VCU 109-79. Travion Novick, another massive night, 30 points, 29 from Newly Cox, and a big double-double from SimWorld Prep alumni Vaughn Rushing in the win, their 10th in a row. Davidson, top 25 team, trying to keep their standing there. Might not happen as Boise State gets a 62-60 win on the road. How about Carmelo Looper, 17-6-5? Finally, a big night for Davidson. Gonzaga and Syracuse. Gonzaga gets the win, 95-84. Syracuse Orange remain winless on the year. Damian Luffy, 29 points, 7 assists in the win for
Help is coming, Syracuse. Help is coming.
And wrap it up with New Mexico. UNLV, I'm sorry. UNLV against Virginia. We talked about this one already. 86-77 win for the Virginia Cavaliers. 17-7 from Johnny Baldwin in the win over the Rebels. All right, we're coming back today. We've got a full schedule of SimWorld U action. Plenty of games, but it starts at 6:30 with Houston and UConn, and then it wraps up at 8 p.m. with SMU and Xavier. SMU, a new addition to the top 25. And a reminder, we got our game of the week coming up tomorrow. That would be Maryland and Villanova. Cooper King and Crossing, Justin Bell, 2 of the biggest names in college basketball. 2 guys expected to be top 10 picks when they come out. Certainly Justin Bell will not be there this season, the freshman carrying his Villanova Wildcats. All right, that's our show. We're coming back tomorrow on a Wednesday. Keep the train rolling on hump day. Rick, I'm not going to say great to see you this morning. Mediocre to see you this morning. We'll be better to see you tomorrow morning.
It's great to see you
all. Okay, keep your pants
shout out to the Jacksonville Jaguars for another losing season.
Heck yeah, baby. Shout out to the Houston Texans for losing
We wash our cars
round.
with Jacksonville Jaguar t-shirts. We wash our cars with the t-shirts.
As you should. Nothing wrong with that. You got to dry it up somehow. Back tomorrow on SimWorld TV. Only place you can see the game, be the game.
This has been a presentation of SimWorld Sports.